In the previous video, we saw Fan Mo, an average high schooler, get transported into a world full of magic after gaining a family heirloom pendant. However, his life was still the same in this new world, with his dad struggling to pay the bills as a driver and a crippled sister to take care of. The city's most prestigious Mu family hated him and his family because Fan Mo had tried eloping with their daughter, Ningsu, when they were younger. All he hoped for was to become a successful mage in this new magical world and bring his family happiness. Despite being the underdog in class, he unlocked two of the strongest elements, fire and thunder, and worked hard to reach level 3 skills in both elements by practicing fire in school and thunder at his monster hunter job. His pendant also gave him a boost by increasing his progress by absorbing other magical gear. By keeping his thunder power a secret from most of the world, he was able to use it in his duel against Ang Yu and defeat him, restoring honor to his family and forming a dent in the Mu family's reputation. After the duel, Fan goes up to Master Mu to demand an apology to his father to honor the terms of the duel. Surprisingly, Master Mu complies and gets down on his knee and apologizes to Fan's father for insulting and beating him the day Fan Mo had tried eloping with Ningxu. Fan Mo is awarded the right to accept training at the Sacred Spring, the most powerful magical site where only one young mage can be sent each year to train and boost their strength. After the duel, he and his class celebrate at a barbecue restaurant where everybody admires Fan Mo for possessing 2 talents. He shares that he will be going to the Sacred Spring next week to train for 7 days. The teacher praises him and wishes him well for his future. One day, Fan's friend Asaya and a black-haired girl from class named Hiyu are hanging out while she rants about her inability to use magic under stress. Kayahu offers to give her some tips. They spot Fan Mo and his sister, Xingxia, on the street, even though he is supposed to be at the Sacred Spring. Kayahu goes up to Fan to ask him why he's still here, to which Fan replies that he is buying his sister a gift for her 16th birthday. Kayahu offers to take her back home so that he can leave for the Sacred Spring. Fan Mo excuses himself and gets on his way, arriving at a tall skyscraper where Miss Tang and Master Mu are waiting for him. They get on an elevator which takes them down to floor B15, and they lead him to a door. Behind the door is the Sacred Spring where he can train for a week. Before he enters, Miss Tang hands him a Star Chart book which he can use when he reaches Star Chart level to release spells. He runs into the captain who tells him how shocked he was to find out the Mo Fan and his Monster Hunter party was Fan Mo all along. Fan asks why he is here, to which he replies that he's come here to talk to the guard of the Sacred Spring, who happens to be the sister of the girl that went missing from the school during the Cyclops attack. He and the sister went to investigate the cave behind the cafeteria and found multiple Cyclops tracks and a mysterious liquid, which they suspect to have come from the Sacred Spring. They are still trying to figure out what it means. The captain tells Fan Mo to just concentrate on his training so that he can become the second youngest nebulous mage after Ningxu Mu. Fan Mo abruptly leaves after hearing her name. The door to the Sacred Spring is heavily guarded and opens only to Fan, closing immediately after he enters. There is no way to go but forward on the narrow passage toward the central platform, with water around it as far as the eye can see. Fan can feel his power increase as soon as he sits at the center of the platform. Meanwhile, the missing girl's sister inquires about the liquid found in the caves. The lab technicians confirm that analysis reveals the liquid is similar to that found in the Sacred Spring but has the opposite effect. It affects beings by filling them with hatred and bloodthirst, dubbing the liquid Spring of Rage. The presence of this liquid in the cave explains why the Cyclops, usually timid monsters that hide in the dark, are causing rampages in the city. Rain begins pouring over the entire region, including the Snowy Peak outpost. Patrol Squad 4 hasn't returned from their rounds, unsettling the commander. Suddenly, 2 bright red flares flash from the middle of the dense woods, signaling a code blue emergency. Panic erupts in the watchtower as Patrol Squad 4 relays a message to the commander that they are being attacked by a ferocious monster, the likes of which they've never seen before. Their 2 light mages were killed while sending the first 2 flares. Otherwise, they would have sent 4 flares to signal a code blood emergency, which means a catastrophe is occurring. The commander issues a code blood alert and dispatches his soldiers to face the threat. A line of fire mages shoot fire at the group of one-eyed wolves trying to infiltrate the fort, but the highest level mage is killed by a huge white wolf with ice spikes on its back. A messenger informs the commander that monsters have been sighted within the city. Nobody knows how this is possible because the outpost is still handling the monsters in the mountains, making it impossible for them to reach the cities. The commander rallies his mages to go to the city and help the citizens evacuate into the safety zone by dividing into 2 groups, one protecting the civilians while the other kills the monsters. Alarms blare in the city to alert civilians of monsters detected in the city. The teacher forces his students back into class while Miss Tang saves a child from a one-eyed wolf. She is shocked to see a Pterolicus, a flying wolf monster, in the sky. The Mu family leaders, including Master Mu and Mingsu, rush out to fight. Mingsu takes down multiple one-eyed wolves with her strong ice powers. One of the wolves shoots a laser that hits Master Mu, causing him to collapse. Ningshui is forced to flee the scene on a flying pet beast to help her injured father, but she is worried for Fanmo, who is inside the sacred spring and completely oblivious to the dangerous situation outside. Meanwhile, Fanmo trains hard in the sacred spring to unlock the nebula level, but is failing so far. He recalls what Miss Tang taught him before coming to the spring. She explained that he needed to level up so that his spiritual space grows to form a nebula of 49 stars. This would make him a nebula mage who can use star chart magic by aligning the 49 stars into 7 orbits of 7 stars each. Keeping that in mind, he studies the book of star chart that Miss Tang gave him to try and get better. However, he is interrupted by a giant tremor during an attempt to align the nebula. He decides to exit the spring to check out what's going on when he sees a guard getting attacked by a Cyclops monster. The guard who was talking to the captain earlier protects Fanmo from the monster and escorts him back to the spring. She introduces herself as Yuxin, the deputy captain of the building. She touches one of the slabs near the platform, causing the entire spring to drain and a small vial to emerge from the slab. She explains that this is an emergency safety protocol and that the vial contains all the water from Sacred Spring. They go down a flight of stairs that leads them to an ancient tunnel at the bottom of the spring, which serves as an alternate exit. While walking through the tunnel, Yuxin explains that the Black Curia, a cult of dark mages, have created Spring of Rage liquid which they have infused into the rainwater, causing the monsters to go rampant and attack the city. The exit leads to a hill slope from where they can see a giant Pyrolicus atop a skyscraper in the city. The civilians in the city run for their lives as thousands of monsters attack them. The group of delinquents that previously tried forcing Xingxia into becoming their leader's girlfriend meet a bloody end at the hands of one-eyed wolves. Xingxia is also chased by one but is saved at the last moment by a man who pulls her into a building. The people inside close the doors to protect themselves from the monster, but the man knows the doors aren't enough to keep the monsters away for long. After seeing the dire situation in the city, Fanmo decides to go look for his father and Xingxia. Yuxin requests him to take the Sacred Spring vial with him, saying that the Black Curia will target her since she is the deputy captain of the spring. They cannot afford to lose the vial to them, so Fanmo should keep it as he would not be one of the targets. He refuses, saying he doesn't care about the Sacred Spring and wishes to take care of his family. Frustrated, Yuxin asks him if he thinks the guards that lost their lives while protecting him in the Sacred Spring had no family. Yuxin, too, had a sister that she lost to a Cyclops while she was on a mission, but she stuck to the mission until the end, knowing that she is a mage who must protect the people. Understanding, Fanmo accepts the vial and gives her a photograph of his family, asking her to protect them if she sees them in the city. Fanmo's father was delivering goods to the outpost when the invasion began. Since then, he has been trying to return to the city in one piece. He runs into Mr. Mu, whose car shut down while he was driving his way to the safety zone. He gets into the father's car and tells him to go to the safety zone. The father refuses, saying he must first go downtown to look for Fanmo, since he is at the Sacred Spring there. Mr. Mu says that is foolish to do since the Sacred Spring building was the first to get attacked, and everyone there is surely already dead. The dad persists and tells Mu to either get out or go downtown with him. He has no choice but to go. Even the magic school students are having a hard time, with most students getting turned into a snack for the Cyclops. Min, the fire mage classmate, gets chased by one of the wolves, which she tries killing with her raging fire spell. It seems to work for a second, but the monster gets back up and almost bites her head off, but Baimu saves her by casting a powerful ice spell. He gives her a baseball bat to defend herself in case she gets too stressed to use magic at some point. He's surprisingly calm in this situation and tells them to follow him. He saves another student by freezing one of the Cyclops with congealing ice. Xia Hao and the Hiyu seem to be having their own romance subplot, hide from the monsters in the hallway. However, they get surrounded by 2 Cyclops monsters on both sides. Xia Hao carries her in his arms and teleports them to a higher floor using his wind powers. However, he gets attacked by a one-eyed wolf that stamps him to the ground. He tells her to run away and leave him, but she doesn't have the heart to. Right when it looks like their love story will meet a tragic end, a huge thunderbolt strikes the wolf and sends it flying. Fanmo finally makes his heroic appearance at the school. He uses his thunder serpent on it, but the wolf still doesn't die. Xia Hao uses his wind magic to lower its defenses, and Fanmo finishes the job by using raging fire to burn it to a crisp. He then takes them to the stadium, where the rest of the surviving students are. Things at the stadium aren't good either, with Baimu showing more leadership than some of the teachers who suggest abandoning the students to save themselves. Luckily, The other teachers shut down the idea and decide on another plan. They need to get everyone to the safety barrier in the city. First, a small pioneer team formed of the talented students will scout the way ahead and find a route with fewer monsters, while the larger Exodus team will follow their lead to avoid being attacked. The teachers ask students to volunteer for the pioneer team, but no one seems eager to risk their lives with such a dangerous task. Min, the other Thunder student, and Ba-Mu boldly step forward for the task. At this point, Fan-Mo, Isaiah and Yu arrive at the stadium. Fan-Mo deduces that it is even more dangerous to be in the Exodus team because most of the students in it are weak and not brave enough to use magic in stressful situations, so there is no strength in their numbers. Additionally, the larger group will attract more monsters, making them more vulnerable to attacks. Their survival will be more likely in the Pioneer team. Hence, Fan-Mo, Isaiah and the girl volunteer to be on the Pioneer team. Everybody is overjoyed and relieved to see their strongest classmate, Fan-Mo, still alive. Meanwhile, the Sacred Spring Deputy Captain, Yuxin, has been holding her own this entire time alone. However, she is almost out of stamina when being chased by a black beast. She casts a spell, but it misses, and the beast leaps toward her. It would have been game over for her, but she is saved by the timely arrival of Mr. Yang, who assaults the beast with a giant stream of water. Yuxin thanks him for saving her life, and they start discussing Black Curia's motives. They believe the cult's main objective is to obtain the Sacred Spring's water, which they will use to lure the monster commanders into attacking the city. Yuxin tells him that she gave the vial to Fan-Mo because the Black Curia members would not suspect him of having it. Mr. Yang says she made the right call. Since he's only a star mage, it is unlikely that he will survive by himself. They split up to look for him. Ningxu and Master Mu arrive at the safety barrier on the pet beast's back. Ningxu requests medical help for her father and asks if any Sky Magical High School students have come to the barrier. The helpers say they haven't seen any students at the barrier yet, causing Ningxu to worry for Fan-Mo's safety. Over at the school, the Pioneer team, consisting of 9 students and a teacher, transforms into their magic gear to start their mission. Upon the teacher's instruction, they spread out and scout the area. Gaia spots a Cyclops monster gnawing a kid at a newsstand and alerts the others. However, it disappears once the teacher and Fan-Mo arrive. The teacher tells the Wind Mages to use their speed to scout the area ahead and hunt it down while the other members will tail them. One of the Wind Mages, Yilao, gets struck down from behind by the Cyclops. Her scream alerts the other students, who gather around her in panic. They attack the Cyclops monster, with the teacher landing the final blow with his blinding lightning power. Unfortunately, Yilao died from the attack. The students take a moment to mourn her death. The teacher asks Fan-Mo how he can be so calm and attack the monsters despite being a student. Fan-Mo shares that he joined the Monster Hunters party when he was in sophomore year, giving him the experience he needed to face monsters, but he admits that he is still scared by the current situation. Havea returns to report having seen 3 one-eyed wolves ahead, one at the fountain, one in the rock garden, and another in the woods. With his experience from his time at the Monster Hunters, Fan-Mo formulates a plan. He tells Jaiho to stall the wolf at the fountain by making it chase him in zigzag lines, since the wolves are slower when running in different directions. He tells Bai-Mu to stall the one in the woods by freezing it in place. The others, including Fan-Mo, use that time to kill off the wolf in the rock garden and then progress to the wolves in the woods and fountains, dealing with them one at a time. Fan-Mo reassures them that if they work together, their different talents can easily take down the monsters, and that they will realize the monsters aren't so scary. The students get motivated by his words and agree to his plan. Svayahu goes to the fountain and recalls his plan while watching the wolf from behind. The wolf detects him and immediately starts sprinting toward him, almost slashing Svayahu apart with its long black claws. He uses his wind powers to run away in a zigzag line, which seems to work at first. However, the wolf uses the trees to bound forward more quickly and eventually catches up to him, slashing his shoulder. He tries to run away on his own 2 legs, but is too slow and gets slashed across the back. Panicking, he uses his wind magic to whiz into a gazebo and hide there. The wolf soon starts approaching the gazebo, but Svayahu collects his thoughts and waits until the wolf lunges to flee at the last moment with the 3rd level of wind magic's fleeting shadow ability. This causes the wolf to get injured by the rubble falling over it, slowing it down. Svayahu runs toward the end of the park, where there is a stack of large iron beams against the wall. The wolf follows him till he is cornered near the wall, and it pierces his black claws into Svayahu. However, thanks to the fleeting shadow ability, the wolf actually attacked Svayahu's projection, causing the wolf to pass his claws through thin air, lose its balance, and fall onto the stacks of iron beams that pierce right through its body and kill it. Relieved, Isekai realizes the one-eyed wolves aren't as scary as he thought. Meanwhile, Baimu tries to freeze the one-eyed wolf in the woods but knows his ice powers are too weak to keep the monster frozen for long. His friend, who accompanied him, suggests running away and directly heading toward the safety barrier, but Baimu calls him foolish for thinking they could make it without the help of the others. Baimu manages to freeze it completely for the time being, and they run toward the rock garden to inform the others of the situation. Over the rock garden, Fan Mo and the other Thunder Talent students subdue the one-eyed wolf with their combined powers, but they know it isn't enough to kill it. Kazuya arrives there but cannot stand due to his injuries, causing everyone to worry. At the same time, Baimu and his friends emerge from the woods with their wolf closely following them. Fan Mo directs a fire attack toward it and follows it with Thunderstorm and multiple other fire spells, burning the wolf to a crisp. 2 wolves down, 1 to go. With the united efforts of the Pioneer team, the third wolf is also defeated. Everybody thanks Fan Mo for his leadership, but being a good leader, Fan Mo credits the entire team's work. If it wasn't for Baimu having frozen the wolf in the woods before, it would have been much stronger and Fan wouldn't have been able to kill it so easily. He urges them to remember that the key skill for mages is teamwork. He tells Baimu to use his strong creeping ice ability to protect the team, rather than using it as an attack move to freeze enemies. He asks Siyu to work with the teacher to protect the team, but she thinks she can't do so because she gets too stressed to use magic when faced with a monster. The teacher tries to comfort her when Kazuya uses his little strength to tell her to be more confident in her abilities before passing out. This makes the others notice his grave wounds, which won't stop bleeding. The teacher says that ordinary bandages and fire will not stop the bleeding. What he needs is a hemostatic agent, which they can obtain from the nearby pharmacy. Fan Mo volunteers to retrieve it, but Kazuya tries to stop him, saying it is not worth wasting time to save him. Fan Mo holds his friend's hand and points out that the team wouldn't be able to do anything without the valuable scouting that wind mages provide. He promises to return with the hemostatic agent soon. Far away from the city, Fan Mo's father races toward the safety barrier with Mr. Mu and Tao. However, one of the tires gets punctured by the worst of luck, causing the car to stop. The father frantically tries to change the tire, receiving no help from Mr. Mu. He gets frustrated and begs Muga help but sees the passenger seat empty. Yuxin is still looking for Fan Mo when she runs into Instructor Yang Bai from the outpost, who has come to the city with his archwolf. He tells her that he is tasked with finding and protecting a student from Sky Magic High School. Guessing he must be referring to Fan Mo, she decides to hand the task to him completely and spend the rest of her time trying to attract the Black Curia toward her for the Sacred Spring. Meanwhile, the other Pioneer team members continue looking for a route toward the safety barrier, with Xiaohu being carried by one of the students. One of the Earth Mages uses his wave detection skill to scan the area for monsters. He reports that there aren't any monsters nearby, making the streets safe for passage. While walking through it, the team finds the complete silence suspicious, wondering how a city rampaged by monsters can have an area completely deserted. Baimu shushes them and looks ahead through the edge of a wall. They are petrified to see a thorn-faced wolf, a warrior-level monster. Baimu explains that there are 3 levels of monsters, with the lowest being slave, followed by warrior, and finally, the terrifying commander level. The Cyclops and one-eyed wolves they have faced so far belong to the slave level, but a warrior-level monster is way beyond their leagues. Fan Mo desperately searches the area for a pharmacy, determined not to let his friend die. He recalls their time together at school when Sayahu shared his dream of attending a good university in a bigger city. He enters an abandoned pharmacy, but cannot find the hemostatic agent anywhere. While roaming the store, he notices a hole in the floor and inspects it to find a Cyclops monster-devouring corpse. It shoots a laser beam from its eye, which Fan Mo dodges. The force causes a few medicines to fall from above. Luckily, one of them is the hemostatic agent he needs. He grabs it before the Cyclops jumps out of the hole and tries attacking him. The Cyclops jumps out of the store and prepares to attack him again, but is grabbed by the much bigger warrior-level thorn-faced wolf, who tosses it into its mouth and swallows it in one gulp. Fan Mo escapes by getting into a sewage pit and reunites with the rest of the team through the drains. He gives the hemostatic agent to the teacher, who applies it to Xaiaho's wounds, causing them to get healed instantly. Meanwhile, the Exodus team has started their journey through the path cleared by the Pioneer team. They come across Yila's dead body on the street. They finally appreciate the huge risk the Pioneer team is taking to help them reach the protective barrier. They decide to carry Yila's body to the barrier for a proper send-off. The Pioneer team manages to make it close enough to see the walls of the safety barrier. All they need to do is cross the moat in front. There, they run into Instructor Yang Bai on his archer wolf. He tells Fan Mo that he has been looking for him and that he should hand over the Sacred Spring vial to him for better protection. Sensing something wrong, Fan Mo backs away and says he will hand the vial directly to the commander, Kong Zhan himself. Yang Bai reveals his true colors, intending to kill Fan Mo to obtain the vial. He asks Fan Mo one final time to hand over the vial, and by doing so, he will spare their lives. This confirms that Yang Bai is a part of the Black Curia, meaning the sacred spring cannot get into his hands at any cost. Fan Mo refuses to give the vial, saying he had killed one of his archwolves before and can do it again. Yang Bai snaps his fingers to summon 3 black beasts from the ground. They pounce at him at once, causing Fan Mo to tell the others to fall back. During the little time that he turns back, the archwolf tramples him to the ground. One of the black beasts attacks Xiahou, but his wind magic doesn't work. At the last moment, a small water shield protects him from the blow. Xiahou makes the horrifying discovery that Yu made the water shield at the cost of getting stabbed by one of the beasts. All this focus diverts to her, and one of the Thunder Mages protects him from the beast with a thunderstorm. The students work together to take the 3 black beasts down while Xiahou rushes to Yu's aid. Yu says she is glad to have finally used her powers to protect someone. Xiahou yells at her for endangering herself, but she uses her last breath to tell him she did so because he is very important to her. After that, her eyes shut while in Xiahou's arms. At the outpost, Kong Zhan receives word that one of the members of Patrol Squad 4 survived the initial attack. The survivor alleges that the light mage that sent the flares was killed before sending the third by a pet archwolf. With this information, the commander suspects the only member in the outpost who owns an archwolf, Instructor Yang Bai. Over at the inner side of the barrier, the protective barrier guards inform Master Mu of the current situation while a nurse bandages his wounds. Refugees are flooding into the barrier all at once, causing much chaos. Ningshu overhears the guards talking about a large group of Sky Magic high school students approaching the barrier. Hopeful that Fan Mo is still alive, she tries to leave the barrier to help him. However, Master Mu forbids her from doing so and orders the guards to ensure that she does not leave without his permission. Fan Mo, still trapped under the Archwolf's claws, watches as more and more of his friends become casualties. He uses both his fire and thunder powers to fling the Archwolf across and free himself. Yang Bai says that no matter how much he tries, his friends will die if he doesn't give the sacred spring to him. Fan Mo pulls out the vial containing the sacred spring, but instead of giving it to the instructor, opens it and drinks it. The energy from the spring upgrades Fan Mo to a much higher level, with which he strikes the Archwolf down with a powerful thunder spell. He-Min and Bai Mu work together to kill one of the black beasts. However, the Archwolf recovers and throws Min across. While the students fight the monsters, the teacher lays low and crawls toward Yang Bai from a cliff above. He plans to kill Yang Bai, because if he dies, his pets will also disappear. He uses his blinding radiance magic to stun him while Fan Mo sends a fire and thunder combined attack. However, Yang Bai manages to evade it because he had planted one of his black beasts under the ground in front of him to absorb attacks. Bai Mu charges toward Yang Bai with a black ice sword, successfully landing a lethal blow on him and causing the beasts to disappear. He used Death brings a cloud of gloom over the team as Xiahou cries over her body. Multiple outpost guards, including Mr. Yang, arrive at the scene to see their colleague Yang Bai dead. They prepare to attack the students who killed him, but Fan Mo explains that Yang Bai was a Black Curia member who attacked them first. He presents the black puddles left behind by the beasts as evidence. Mr. Yang orders some of the investigators to bring samples of the puddles and Yang Bai's body back to the protective barrier, while the rest escort the students safely to the barrier. There is no point in sorting the matter outside where other monsters can attack them. Hence, the Pioneer team finally makes it into the protective barrier after losing 2 members. They send word to the Exodus team, who celebrate their achievement and start moving quicker toward the barrier. Meanwhile, a group of outpost guards scans the area around the Sacred Spring building atop which the Otouto-Recap is. The whole perimeter is surrounded by one-eyed wolves and thorn-faced wolves, making it nearly impossible for them to reach the building, let alone kill the Otouto-Recap. They wonder how the one-eyed wolves and other monsters arrived in the city even when they were guarding the mountain. The only possible answer they can think of is that the Black Curia used space magic, which is most difficult to master. The group is about to retreat when the Otouto-Recap detects them and sends a death ray that incinerates them all. Inside the barrier, the Pioneer team observes the horrible condition of the surviving refugees, most of whom are gravely injured. Fan Mo goes to represent the team in a meeting with the outpost investigators who wish to discuss the subject of Yang Bai's death. The autopsy report reveals signs of decaying black beast in his heart, confirming that he was a spy for Black Curia. Kong Zhan apologizes to Fan Mo for the death of his teammates at the hands of the traitor Yang Bai. He asked him how he suspected Yang Bai before anyone from the outpost did. Fan Mo answers that he didn't suspect him but was simply being alert. When he refuses to hand over the vial immediately, Yang Bai showed his true colors. Kong Zhan praises his smart thinking and asks for the vial. However, Fan Mo says he can't because he drank it, causing Kong Zhan to snap and tackle him. After calming down, he realizes it is best that the sacred spring no longer exists and that their most important objective is to defeat the commander-level Pterolacus. Kong Zhan assesses his odds and realizes he only has 50% chance of killing the monster if they fight one-on-one, and the probability decreases to 10% if he has to fight the Pterolacus along with the surrounding wolves as well. Despite this, he rallies his men and motivates them to fight to their death in order to protect the city's people. They storm out of the barrier with their winged beasts to face the Pterolacus. Fan Mo remains on the roof to see them leave. Ningxu, who also comes up to the roof, is overjoyed to see him and hugs him. Master Mu accuses him of abandoning the other students to escape to the barrier. Frustrated at this grown adult constantly targeting him, he retorts that Master Mu himself ran into the barrier despite having the power and influence to help people. Ningxu butts in and tells Fan Mo not to criticize her father. Fan Mo gets pissed off and leaves. Meanwhile, Fan Mo's father finally arrives in the city area to see all the people that are still remaining are the dead ones. After mistaking a corpse for his son, he is chased by a giant monster and is backed into a corner. As a non-magic user, he is completely helpless against it. Thankfully, he is saved by Yuxin, who unleashes a storm of water on the monster. Recognizing him from the photograph Fan Mo had given her, she asks him if he is his father, but he loses consciousness. Yuxin looks up and realizes there are even more monsters she has to face. Fan Mo enters the military investigation room to find out his father and Xingxia entered the barrier. Officer Cheng receives intel from a patrol that the monsters are entering Bao City through underground tunnels. If they don't find the openings of these tunnels and destroy them, monsters will keep pouring in. Fan Mo recalls his missions with the monster hunters and shares that there were hints of these tunnels when the Cyclops invaded a school and kidnapped one of the students. Cyclops are expert diggers, and so locating their past attacks should reveal the underground tunnels they made. Fan Mo contacts the monster hunters to look through the records of all their missions and pinpoint the locations of past Cyclops attacks. Turns out that the most common sightings of Cyclops occur at Epigraph Girls Junior High School, meaning the biggest entrance to the tunnels might be there. From this point on, the military joins forces with the monster hunters to search for the underground tunnels. Fan Mo exits the building and hears his father's voice. They hug each other, relieved to see the other alive. The father explains that Yuxin had saved his life and helped him reach the barrier. The monster hunters reveal that her dead body was found in the city, probably having died while trying to protect others like Fan Mo's dad. Xingxia is a student at Epigraph Junior High, and she can't move around much with her wheelchair. Nobody knows where she is, causing Fan Mo and his father to worry for her safety. The monster hunters and some military soldiers prepare to go to the school. Fan Mo begs to join their mission in hopes of finding his sister, promising not to interfere in their mission. Xingxia has been in hiding with a group of civilians in a basement. They begin to panic because if they don't make a move toward the protective barrier, it will eventually be hunted down by the monsters and killed. The man who saved Xingxia from a one-eyed wolf suggests using the underground tunnels to reach the barrier since no monsters should be in them. He knows the tunnels well since he has been a pipeline worker for years. Thinking this is a good idea, everybody starts rushing to the nearest underground pipe. However, an Epigraph schoolgirl in the group stays behind and asks them to help Xingxia come along. They all refuse to put their lives on the line for a crippled girl, and the pipes are too narrow to fit a wheelchair anyway. After they leave, the girl offers to carry Xingxia with her, but Xingxia insists she be left behind. As a last favor, she asks the girl to give her bracelet to a boy named Fan Mo when she reaches the protective barrier and to tell him that she's dead and that he should continue living in her stead. Once the girl leaves, Xingxia goes through the boxes in the basement and picks up a knife. The special team, consisting of a few military soldiers and the monster hunters, travels through the city using the monster hunters' special car with an engine that prevents detection by monsters. However, part of the road toward the school is blocked. They decide to walk the rest of the way. The wind mage from the monsters hunters scouts the area, successfully blowing away two Cyclops monsters that try to attack him with his level 3 floating shadow ability. Officer Cheng uses ice magic of Star Trek level to kill multiple Cyclops in one go. These guys are the real deal. While walking to the school, they hear screams coming from an alley. Fan Mo instinctively moves to help them, but Officer Cheng orders him to stop, saying their mission is to find the underground tunnel in the school and destroy it, not saving people's lives. A man emerges from the sewers, all bloodied up, and collapses at the feet of the team. Him and the others were the people from the basement. They use the underground tunnels in the sewer system to escape, thinking it is free of monsters, but the sewer is, in fact, the nest of the Cyclops. These people walked into their deaths. Fan Mo spots a corpse of a schoolgirl with the same bracelet he gifted to Xingxia on her 16th birthday, making him think it is Xingxia. He rushes toward the body and realizes it isn't his sister's, but confirms that the bracelet is Xingxia's. This would mean that this girl had met Xingxia before being attacked by the Cyclops in the sewers. Additionally, the man who died just now was wearing the uniform of the supermarket in the Epigraph Mall. These clues point toward Xingxia being somewhere in the mall. A special team wishes Fan Mo luck, and they part ways. After transforming into magical gear, Fan Mo makes his way toward the supermarket. Xingxia sneaks her way around the supermarket, trying to find a way out. One of the Cyclops detects her, but she abandons her wheelchair and stuffs herself into a refrigerator. The monster destroys her wheelchair, expecting to see a person, but leaves disappointed. Two hooded Black Curia members, one with a big nose and the other in full armor, monitor the city's state from atop a roof. Since the military knows about the entrance in Epigraph Junior High School, they must be killed before they destroy the tunnel there. The two decide it is best to let most of the members die at the hands of the monsters and take care of the rest when they are weakened. They spot a bright light from a thunder attack in the distance. The one in the full armor recognizes him and tells the other to stay back as he kills the Thunder Mage himself. You guessed it, the Thunder Mage was Fan Mo. He defeats the monster with the thunder attack, but gets ambushed by a shadowy figure. Fan Mo dodges it and enters the mall. The armored man stands on a beam above him and praises him for dodging the figure. Fan Mo asks who he is. The man slowly removes his mask to reveal himself as Ang Yu, the one Fan Mo defeated in the duel. Did you see that coming? He reveals that he dealt with Master Mu's bullying and abuse for 10 years in order to gain access to the Sacred Spring during his coming-of-age event. He was so close to achieving his goal, but Fan Mo disrupted all his plans and Ang Yu failed to deliver on his mission for the Black Curia. They punished him for his failure by permanently scaring half of his face. If it weren't for Fan Mo, the city would have already been destroyed and Ang Yu would have been promoted to a higher rank by now. After ranting his frustrations, Ang Yu brings out a dark sphere from which he releases black puddles, each giving ride to a black beast. Fan Mo runs away from the beasts using both his elements. The big-nosed member calls Ang Yu, informing him that the military has reached the school and that they must divert their attention there. Ang Yu refuses to come at first, wishing to see Fan Mo's death with his own eyes. However, fearing another punishment, he leaves his pets behind to finish Fan Mo off. Fan Mo tries his best to avoid the beasts, but eventually gets surrounded. He locks himself into the CCTV surveillance room, where he sees a destroyed wheelchair on one of the screens. On the screen above, he spots Xingxia hiding in a refrigerator in the supermarket. Fan Mo recalls the captain teaching him that Cyclops have poor eyesight and mainly rely on their eyes to detect heat signatures. Hence, if you want to hide from them, the best solution is to use ice magic. Despite the stressful situation, Xingxia was smart enough to hide in the refrigerator to avoid being detected. The black beasts have been pounding against the door this entire time, causing the door to break open. Determined to save his sister, Fan Mo focuses hard to conjure a powerful spell. To his surprise, the pendant glows with the help of the Sacred Spring's energy and causes him to level up to Nebula. He aligns the 49 stars in his nebula to form a star chart by the time the beasts ram the door down. His body gets surrounded by star chart fire, and he uses the notebook of star chart that Miss Tang gave him to attack the beasts with the star chart level Fire Fist spell. The other beasts try to run away, but he takes them down with single fire and thunder attacks. Meanwhile, Xingxia tries slowly crawling away from the Cyclops in the supermarket, but one of them detects her. She stabs its eye with the knife she carried before it can bite her. The other Cyclops monsters run toward her, but start feeding on the dead Cyclops body. She uses the opportunity to roll under a low shelf where they can't reach her. Fan Mo comes to her rescue, setting the monsters ablaze with his newly acquired fire powers. Xingxia comes out of her hiding spot but goes out cold in his arms. Her body temperature reached deadly lows due to the long time she spent hiding in the fridge. Fan Mo warms her up with a fire circle around them, causing her to regain consciousness. He's overjoyed to see his sister alive and returns the bracelet to her. He carries her out of the supermarket in his arms and shares that he has reached star chart level in his fire talent. The slave-level monsters seem to detect his power and avoid them. They should be fine as long as they stay away from warrior-level monsters. They sit on a bench and discuss the missing girl in her school. Xingxia believes the Cyclops didn't kidnap her on the day of the attack. She had seen her walk the same way that a mysterious person dressed in gray went. Fan Mo guesses that the person was a Black Curia member and that the girl discovered the hidden opening of the underground tunnel at the school, because of which she was killed. Fan Mo decides to drop Xingxia off to the safety barrier and then leave for the school to assist the special team. However, he feels giddy due to a wound he received while fighting the Black Beasts. Xingxia takes his arm and uses her healing magic to close his wound. Fanmo praises her commendable healing skills and tells her to use her healing magic on the injured refugees inside the barrier. On their way, he asks her if she had ever seen strange holes in the school. She recalls there being a giant hole in the school's field on the day of the attack. She urges him to stay inside the barrier with her since he still isn't powerful enough to defeat strong monsters. However, Fanmo cannot stand to do anything as the city they grew up in falls apart. He has always wanted to be a successful mage that brings honor and safety to his family, and so he must perform the duties of a mage during this dire time. Otherwise, he will regret his actions all his life. Noticing his determination, Xingxia decides to accompany him, saying she will also regret it if she isn't there to protect her brother now. Fanmo speeds through the roads on a motorbike, and Xingxia realizes he is taking a route toward the protective barrier, not the school. Their path is blocked by a warrior-level thorn-faced wolf. Fanmo takes a U-turn and tries to move in the other direction, but the wolf keeps following them. He drives the bike into a narrow alleyway, and they hide under one of the buildings on the side, successfully causing the wolf to lose their trail. He admits he has no idea how to defeat a warrior-level monster. A special team arrives at the school and finds the opening of the underground tunnel in the field, just as Xingxia said. Office Chang uses his ice powers to save a girl who miraculously survived so far from a Cyclops monster. The monster hunter's water mage takes the girl to a safe spot while the rest try to destroy the opening by releasing their powers together. However, it has no effect and causes more monsters to emerge from the hole. At the same time, the big-nosed Black Curia member and a masked Angyu appear. Angyu removes the mask and says that since the monster hunters treated him well in the past, he would let them live if they leave the hole alone. All of them are taken by surprise when they realize Angyu is a part of the Black Curia. They shame him for betraying the Mew family that treated him so well. This triggers him, and he attacks with his ice powers. The monster hunters immediately retaliate with their elements. Clearly outnumbered, the other Black Curia member runs away like a coward to try and save himself. Angyu strikes him down with ice shards and releases black beasts on the special team. Meanwhile, the outpost instructors headed by Kong Zhan approach the massive Pterolicus. The commander-level Pterolicus spots them and descends to the ground behind a small army of slave and warrior-level monsters. Commander-level monsters are intelligent beings, making them especially difficult to beat. It gives out a loud roar, which seems to control the lower-level monsters. They all charge toward the tiny group of soldiers. Kong Zhan's team urges him to save his mana for the Pterolicus since he is the only one to stand a chance against it, while they take care of the mobs of monsters. Sure enough, the highly trained instructors take down the strong warrior-level thorn-faced wolves and clear the path for their leader. By the time Kong Zhan comes face to face with the Pterolicus, all of his loyal instructors have lost their lives. The Pterolicus flies toward the top of the building again, and Kong Zhan follows with the help of his wings. They fight a fierce battle, with the commander launching Zodiac-level fire magic skills to defeat the Pterolicus. After seeing this attack, Fanmo realizes this is the critical time to destroy the underground tunnels and goes straight to the school instead of the protective barrier. He uses his Star Chart-level fire magic to defeat the thorn-faced wolf there and seal the opening of the underground tunnel in the school. Angyu, who fled the scene once Fanmo arrived, promises to destroy Fanmo by destroying the city one day. Everybody at the protective barrier spectates Fanmo's display of power with awe. Our hero wonders if all the trouble has finally ended.